right, we are live. Welcome, Arohi Jain.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Arohi, I thought we could maybe start this podcast by maybe just introducing yourself a little bit, telling us a little bit about who you are, and then we can dive into the topics we discuss.
Definitely, yeah, I'd be happy to. I have a background in computer science engineering. I just graduated from UMich with a Master of Management, and I started working full time on my startup ever since. And it's been really exciting to do that. I realized my passion for entrepreneurship quite early when I was during like freshman year of undergrad when I started working on some business ideas. And so it's always been my dream to start my own company. And now that it's slowly materializing, it's been a hell of a ride.
Yeah. Why don't we jump into that? So, you want to maybe tell us what the name of your company is, and then, yeah, just tell us a little bit more about the origin.
Definitely, yeah. So the name of the company is Breeze Bubble. I started working on this back in October 2019. I'll give you like a brief elevator pitch of Breeze Bubble and then tell you like the background story. So Breeze Bubble is a smart mask with a microfiltration technology that allows you to breathe easily while staying highly protected. So the origin of this was like I started developing this idea or figured out what the problem was when I visited my family back home in India in October 2019. And this was at a time where air pollution, was at its absolute worst in the country. Like my dad's a runner, he runs marathons and he stopped running, he stopped preparing. My mom wouldn't go outside for weeks. And so I knew that there was a problem there which needed to be solved. Like I saw it directly impacting me, my family, my friends, and pretty much everyone around me. And so I started developing this breathable mask or a breathable solution where people could live a normal life outdoors, and yeah, still stay protected and not be worrying about their lungs or their child's health all the time. So that was kind of the start of it, of course, like with the slow iterations, and it was originally geared towards the pollution market and creating this breathable mask, but I had no idea that the world would also start wearing masks in like the US and the rest of the countries. And yeah, right now we've kind of pivoted to focusing on the COVID market. Um, so yeah, we launched the website 4 weeks ago, 4 or 5 weeks ago, with the first version of the mask, and it's been getting good reviews. So far so good.
And you want to maybe share the name of your website?
Just yeah, it's www.breezebubble.com. That's BREEZE, Breeze Bubble.
Nice. Perfect. And we're going to add it below as well.
Awesome.
So, do you have a demo or a prototype, or not? Sorry, not a prototype. You actually have the physical product.
Product, yeah, I do have it
Yeah.
here with me. So this is the Breeze Bubble mask. One of the best parts of the design is this soft, smooth silicone edge. One of the biggest problems that we hear with like the current high protection like N95 masks is that they're very restrictive, they're difficult to breathe through, and if you wear it for more than an hour or so, you get these horrible mask lines, which shows how uncomfortable they are. So this smooth edge, like essentially is designed to take the shape of your face. It's gentle on your skin. It's made of skin-friendly material. And also, it's a reusable mask. So unlike the current surgical disposable masks or N95 masks, they need to be disposed over and over again, which is not great for the environment. This can just be like washed and reused. So yeah, and then we also are currently working on this mask with the fan device. So that's the one that's still under product development, but essentially it's supposed to create a fresh airflow around your nose and mouth, making it even more easy to wear for longer hours.
And I can attest, you sent me both the Smooth Edge, which is that first one, and then the Ultra Tech, which is the one with the fan. And both are extremely comfortable. Both fit to the face flush. They have adjustable elastic strings around the ears, so it's very easy to press up against so that there is no room for particles to basically enter into the sides or out of the mask. And the Smooth Edge is very, very comfortable. And you have an announcement too about the Smooth Edge, don't you?
I do, yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. So With the current feedback, with all the things that we got with this mask, I mean, it's been great, but there have been some small things that need to be changed or improved. So we're coming with a new and improved Ultra Protect mask that we're going to be launching on Kickstarter, and it launches in about 12 days, 11 days from now on October 14th. So yeah, really kind of like going guns blazing on the Kickstarter campaign and hoping to get a ton of backers from there.
Awesome. And so this is being filmed on October the 4th. So we are going to be releasing that Kickstarter campaign underneath the description of this video as well. So if anyone listening is interested, listening or watching, wants to invest in a highly protected, safe, environmentally friendly mask that's reusable, then you'll be able to get yours right there on Kickstarter, as well as the website too.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really exciting. So let's go back a little bit because, it might be interesting to some viewers and listeners as to how you and I got connected originally. So maybe you want to rehash that and remind me how we first met as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think I remember this was one of the events at the Tech Arb. It was hosted by the Center for Entrepreneurship at the University of Michigan. And I think I actually remember it very clearly. There were two speakers, Rishi Narayan and Moses Lee, who were talking about their companies, Underground Printing and Moses's company. And I met you probably in the very initial sessions when we were just like networking or talking to people. I think it was you and another person who were chatting, and I kind of joined in and introduced myself. And I don't remember if I was working on this idea then, or maybe I just sort of introduced it to you. And I remember you were talking about your the work that you're doing with Kaizen and working on your podcast and everything. So yeah, I think that's kind of where we met, and it's been such a crazy journey from there.
Yeah, so that was probably about a year ago now.
It was a year.
Yeah, and I remember because the question was about what are you working on currently and how can everyone help you do that?
Yeah.
And so I was working on Kaizen, I was working on a podcast, not this podcast specifically, but another one. And you were you were a master student. And you had pitched me the idea of this breeze bubble, which was still very early stage. You didn't have a product, but you knew that you wanted to help people breathe in polluted cities. And this was before COVID hit, which is why it makes this product so amazing, because it was just a perfect fit for the current needs of the world. And I'm so impressed with how just a year ago you had this idea, but you didn't really have, a product or customer discovery or anything to show for it. And then a year later, you have a full blown company and you're selling masks. And it's just really amazing to see how just in a year so much can change.
Definitely. And it's been like with the help of like I've gotten so much support in this like last year. Everything from like the CFE, the Tech Arb, like everyone from the Zelluri Institute. I also did like the Dare to Dream program at Ross, which gave like this whole template or format for the customer discovery feasibility study. And also like Ann Arbor Spark, who's helping me out with like legal stuff and everything. So it's been through a lot of support and a lot of different people helping me out in every stage that kind of like expedited the process. And yeah.
And we've had many conversations here and there, and I've been giving you guidance in terms of like things that I've learned on my journey and my failures, and you've been sharing things with me as well to help me with Maximize and Kaizen, and it's been a really fruitful relationship for both of us, a healthy
Definitely,
back and forth.
Yeah, I think with the first time we met, it was just at the event, and you meet like 20 people there, so you don't know who you're gonna stay in touch with as much. And then I think we met at another event that happened maybe a month or two later, and we were both talking about the Desai Accelerator. I think you were gonna join there as an intern. I was gonna join thinking, or like I applied there as like a startup. And then it didn't happen for me. I guess it didn't happen for you, or you
Yeah.
saw like other things.
Yeah.
And then I think I just like emailed you saying like, hey, didn't get into Decide, but going full time on this, and it would be great if, I think you had mentioned that you were interested in like marketing and like business development aspects. So I said, if you want to just have a call, and then that call led to a lot more. So yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing how if you just put yourself out there, it just leads to so many opportunities. Because if both of
Exactly.
us didn't decide to just on a limb go to a networking event with Tech Arb, CFE, then there's no way we'd have met. And who knows where we would be in our journeys. I feel like we've helped
Yeah.
each other a lot so far.
I agree. Yeah, I'm glad. I mean, I'm so like grateful for all the help like I've had from you as well, with not just like talking about the challenges and like discussing everything from your experiences to mine and like figuring out what's the best way to go, but also like so many of the other people that you connected me to. And that's, yeah, as you said, like you can't, like, you don't know what opportunities you're missing if you don't put yourself out there. And so every lead that you sent me, I followed through, and some of them worked out, some of them didn't, but most of them have led to like great things.
Right. So
Yeah.
I actually want to dive into that a little bit further because I'm very inspired by you and the progress that you've made even just in a year with Breeze Bubble. So I'm curious of, you had said that you were always entrepreneurial. You kind of knew that this was sort of something that you wanted to pursue. So I'm wondering what experiences led you to cultivate that entrepreneurial spirit, and is there like a key moment where you're like, oh, I know that this is what I'm going to do with my life? Or was it more of a gradual process? And maybe you could just walk us through that.
Definitely. That's a great question. And all the things that you said like really hit what like my journey has been. Yeah, as I said, with my in my freshman year during summer break, I started working on this book exchange business idea that I had. So I saw like a lot of used books getting wasted. They would just like rot away in people's cupboards. So I thought that maybe it would be cool to create a platform where people could exchange books. And at that time, I just thought like just fiction books, because I love to read like uh, Agatha Christie and Harry Potter, and I was like, let's create a platform where we can have like a sharing system. So I created that, implemented it in the university, and there were like 200 students who exchanged like maybe 300 books amongst each other. Everything from like course books, which are mostly course books, and some fiction as well. And it was just really exciting. Like it was a rush to like have an idea, think that this could be interesting for a lot of people or like help some people in the process, and then creating that and hearing like people talk about it or like actually have a good experience with it. So that was like really exciting to just like work on that. And then I learned slowly that this is doing this on a larger scale, and like making money off of it is what like startups and entrepreneurship is all about. So but at that time still, I was still like figuring out what I wanted to do. I was still like studying computer science engineering and focusing on my studies. So in the next summer, so I started searching for like these programs abroad, at like different colleges or whatever. And at that time I was studying in India, so abroad for me was the US. And I did a summer semester at Stanford University in technology entrepreneurship. And that semester was like the turning point of my life, because it was, I mean, of course the courses, the professors and everything was great, but I met people who, like so many people who had their own companies, or who like from all over the world. Everyone had come for the sole purpose of learning more about entrepreneurship. And a lot of people were way more experienced than me, with them having sold their companies for millions of dollars, or like running their full-fledged companies and stuff. So just learning from their experiences and brainstorming so many cool ideas of how we can solve so many of the problems in this world was like, yeah, it opened up a whole new world for me. And just, yeah, being in the Silicon Valley as well, visiting so many of the different startups from small businesses to big companies and seeing their journeys, like that's when I knew, or that's when I kind of determined that I want to do the same thing. And I love each area of this process, from starting with a problem to building something that can benefit other people. Yeah, that was the key turning point. And then And then I actually came back for my third year, like my junior year of university, and I launched my first startup, which was called Piggyback. It was an international delivery platform, and we were connecting people and packages and reducing the costs and time of delivery. We worked in that for about 2 years, me and three of my co-founders, and we got into a bunch of legal issues with like customs and taxes and the licenses that we would need to buy, and just figured out that in like with the vision that I had for the big company, that wouldn't be possible. Like we would be profitable after like 10 years or something. So we kind of decided to shut that down. And that really sucked because I didn't sit for any like placements. Like I didn't sit for any jobs. I had like some tough conversations with my parents, and I was like, no, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna do like this after college and it's gonna be amazing. And then when it shut down, like after all the companies had hired everyone, I was kind of like, okay, I don't know what to do now. Like this, my life had like completely changed. And then I decided to do my master's program at the University of Michigan. And I came here, and yeah, it's been great. Like no matter what. I mean, at that point, I think I thought like my life's ended. Like, what should I do? This is not the plan. But it all worked out.
Yeah. There's so much to unpack there. I mean, I'm curious about so many things within that story of the differences that you've seen between education, entrepreneurial education at Stanford and U of M, the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Silicon Valley versus Ann Arbor, where we met. I'm also curious about this concept of resilience because, I think we've both experienced this in that you think something's going to go a certain way or you have a plan, and in theory you perfectly execute that plan and everything is peaches and butterflies, right? But it rarely happens that way. And so maybe we could talk more about that resilience factor and handling adversity and how you've dealt with that in your journey.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And I think I heard this so many times, the grit and resilience, like when I would hear like people or like entrepreneurs who had started successful companies who talked about that before, but I never really understood it. I mean, it was always like, yeah, I mean, yeah, you need resilience. Like I can be resilient, but you don't really understand it until you experience it. And I think throughout this whole journey, I mean, I think I can kind of almost break the my startup journey into two aspects as of now. One is like before I graduated, and one is after I graduated. Before I graduated, I was like working on an idea. I was trying to like talk to different potential customers, figure out the solution, and trying to build this product. And that was one part of it. And that was much more easy. I was doing it part time with school and creating pitch decks and trying to do some pitch competitions. It was like really exciting and really fun. And then the second phase of this was really when I graduated, and I signed like the contract with the incubator that I was going to be working with, who were going to give us income and funding, and everything was said and done. And I graduated, and maybe 4 days after graduating, and 5 days or like a week before I was set to join the incubator shut down because of the pandemic, and the VCs backed out. We lost all our funding, our income, and the two people who were going to work with me as co-founders realized that it's a very risky situation to be in the startup scene right now. So one joined a company and one went for their masters. And so I went from like having two potential co-founders and funding and income to not earning anything and not having any co-founders. And yeah, I mean, I just thought like, yeah, I mean, I don't know what, maybe I had just decided at that point that this is what I want to do. And I was feeling so good about it. Like I was feeling so good about not going for the job, even though the job was great. But like just determining that this is what I want to do, that I continued on. And every day I can have like really high highs or low lows. Like I'm living with my aunt right now, and if you ask her, like almost every morning she says like this, like thumbs up or thumbs down, because she knows that there's going to be some news or something. Either I'm going to be super happy or super low that day. So it's just, yeah, like a series of constant challenges and trying to overcome them again and again, because at the end of the day, yeah, I mean it's always progressing, right? Like even with even if you lose your funding, whatever happens, like you started with an idea and you know that you really believe that this is something that is gonna help a lot of people and it's gonna solve a real problem. And I guess that's what keeps me going.
I want to talk more about that risk factor because I think a lot of people listening who might be entrepreneurial minded are wondering if there is just a constant barrage of challenges and things to overcome, why do it? It seems so much easier to get a job with a company that's established, get all the benefits, have a steady paycheck, and that's not the life that you chose. And so I'm curious as to what evidence did you have that provided you the comfort in your mind to know that this was a path that could lead to a a financially independent life and one that was worth pursuing instead of the comforts of a full-time job.
Definitely. I think I want to answer that in like two parts. I think one would be I would say like I'm lucky to be working on this right now, like right after college, because I don't have as many responsibilities. Most people, that's not the case for them. Like if I was starting this when I was like 40 or 45 years old, maybe I have like a family, kids, and there was way more responsibility for me, not just to like care about my survival, but also the survival of my family. And so I couldn't take that big of a risk because at the start you're not profitable. I'm not profitable right now. I'm not taking any income, but yeah, I'm living in one room with like my relatives at the moment, and like I'm kind of making it work. So you definitely have to see which point in your life you are to be able to take, and if you're able to take that risk or not. On the other hand, when you ask like why, like it would be so much easier to do a job and like get kind of like a um yeah, you kind of have that path, like a lot of people have treaded that path of like going into a company, going from one place to the other, and that's a bit easier in terms of like, yeah, like constant flow of, let's say, income or whatever, and you know that that's a safe path, right? I think my answer to that is it's just been way more rewarding for me to do this. And also like just a insane learning journey. I mean, everything from each aspect of running a business, from like taxes and accounting to figuring out the market to setting up manufacturing to like actually getting it out there, developing our website and like marketing this. So, and everything, yeah, I mean it's just, I don't know how to explain it. It's just been so rewarding, so much fun. Even when I was like at school, I would like do my classes, and then the rest of the day or even like through the night I would just be like working on my idea, and like my body wanted me to work on my idea. It was just like, yeah, it was just so much fun. When I was like studying computer science and coding, I would like study for an hour and then I just like physically feel tired and be like, I don't want to do this. I want to like go to sleep or whatever. Like my body didn't want that. And so with this, it keeps me so internally motivated to wake up each day and just like grind for 10, 12, 15 hours, whatever it takes, 7 days a week. And I think that's a good sign, right? That tells me that keep going in this path. And I mean, and yeah, with the risks question, I've given myself a year and a half. So if in a year, I mean, right now, everything with the challenges or risks, it's progressing in a good way. Like I am making progress every time, or like every day, every month, every week. If in like a year and a half I see that it's still at a point, or like it's going down, or it's just like plateaued, or it's not going to work out, then we'll see what happens then. But right now I'm very optimistic.
Well, I wish you all the best luck in your journey. And, I think luck is less about getting lucky, but more about creating your own luck, which you certainly
I agree.
have. Yeah. I mean, yeah, anyone who has the honor to get to know you will just see that fiery entrepreneurship spirit that you have, and it's inspiring to me and pushes me to do more with the things that I'm doing as well.
Great, yeah.
So I want to take that and now segue into the like mental health and wellness aspect of being an entrepreneur, because you are getting bombarded with these no's and these roadblocks, and like not getting into a program or losing funding or not having enough help or something like that. So I'm curious as to how you deal with those challenges, and what you do to ensure that you're taking care of yourself so that you can put in those crazy hours to make your idea come to life.
For sure. And I think, yeah, it's great that you brought that up. I think we've had some conversations personally as well about these things. And just kind of trying to keep my, first of all, like, I think I'll just bring this up, but we thought of like bringing it up later, but like the work hard, play hard mentality. Like, I really give a lot of importance to having a balance in my life, even with like Corona times when we're not able to go out as much as we used to before and everything. Just like going out for walks, working out every day, making sure I do get 8 hours of sleep, even though sometimes it feels like I need to get more done during the day, but just like telling myself to cut off, and yeah, getting the amount of food, sleep, exercise, and outdoor activities during the day is like super important. There have been days when I've just like, maybe even I had the time to do it, but not the energy, when I was so tired, and I was just like, maybe even like it was a bad day, like something broke down, some machinery broke down, and we're at a delay, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, this is not working out, and I don't want to do anything. And then I don't work out that day, I don't go out, and then that leads into a cycle of even more like feeling low. And so just like making sure that I do those things constantly, I think has been very important. It's funny, like I also like I've changed the way I sleep recently with like doing that. I think I told you, um, because before I usually, for some reason, I wake up like in the middle of the night, like for 2 minutes, just like I always do that. That's been kind of a habit. And I would always like check my phone when I did that. So if I wake up at 3 a.m. and I check my phone, and with this global world, with like my manufacturing happening overseas, my friends and family in India who also keep sending articles and stuff about masks and Breeze Bubble, the moment I would like check something on my phone, and every time it would either be great news or it'd be bad news, and then it would just keep me up for the rest of the day. So for maybe a period of a month, I was just getting like 5 hours of sleep just because of this. I would check my phone, and then I'd be going to overdrive, like, okay, we need to solve this or figure this out. And then I started like keeping my phone very far away from me so that I get that 8 hours of sleep. So yeah, I would say just like doing these basic things has helped me, yeah, keep myself like still positive, excited, energetic to be able to carry out the tasks that need to be done.
Yeah, I actually personally have a pretty bad habit of when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I'm doing is I'm on my phone. And the reason for that is because my alarm is on my phone. And so I have to reach for my phone to turn off my alarm in the morning. So it's literally the first thing I'm doing is grabbing my phone. And I'm conscious of that. And I'm thinking about investing in like an alarm clock or something, just because just scrolling through like your like I don't even check Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, like whatever first. I go straight to my email. And I'm like, is something interesting happening professionally in my email? And I think something I'm working on personally is trying to ease myself into the day a little bit more. Like we've talked about it before, I meditate in the mornings every morning for anywhere between 10 and 20 minutes. Typically, I'd like to stretch and have a cup of tea or something. But if I'm, taking in that blue light in my eyes and like constantly going straight to work, it can get exhausting. And so for me, having a healthier routine in the mornings and at night allows me to be flexible and driven throughout the day.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that's great. And I think I should definitely take some notes on that, with especially like giving myself, first of all, not checking my phone right in the morning, and also giving myself maybe 30 minutes just to wake up and like be with the nature, go out for a bit, or just like, yeah, give some time to myself, because before I like turn my laptop on and like start seeing what needs to be done today, and like because I think for me, I'm definitely struggling with that and working on that. Like the first thing that I think of is like I start scheduling my day in my mind. Like, okay, today I have like this and this meeting. Today I want to do this and this. Oh yeah, like yesterday somebody told me this could be a cool idea. I need to research that. And just like that's just a process that just starts off, and I don't know how to like shut it off. But maybe something like meditation or just listening to music while I go for a walk might be a good way to go.
For sure. And we've talked about it before as well. Just like sharing techniques with each other for how to
Yeah.
stay healthy. And okay, so it's long overdue, but I want to ask you the big question. And
Okay.
that is, what is it like being a female CEO and entrepreneur in America today?
It's a great place to be in. I think that's like, in short, that's the answer to that. Um, I think it's the right time to be in this place, uh, with like everything that's happened, or like this world that's very fast pivoting towards, um, people, like so many women or so many entrepreneurs starting their own companies and getting a lot of support from so many organizations, that it's like 100% the right time to do that. So if anybody's second guessing and think that this is like something that they're passionate about it, I would definitely encourage doing that, because you will get a lot of support from a lot of people. It's interesting actually. And I mean, I'm not saying that the world wasn't this way then, but when 3 years ago I did the semester at Stanford, we went to this pitch event. It was like a healthcare pitch deck, like one of the demo days that they were doing for their company. So there were maybe like 20, 25 startups that were pitching. And I think the first thing that I noticed, and I took like a snapshot of that, was that there were 20 people in the judging panel. And I snapped a picture with a caption, guess what? It's all rich old white men. Like each of those 20 people were, there was not a single woman in that judging panel. And I mean, if you kind of reverse the roles, like it seems kind of the norm or whatever right now, but if you reverse the roles, if you think, and maybe they, I'm not saying that they're like biased towards women or men like pitching their companies to the investors, but if you reverse it, like imagine a panel of just 20 women, and then a man walks into the room and pitches their company, it is going to be a bit intimidating, right? It's not like the same. And it's, that's the exact same. Like maybe there were about 20 male led startups and 3 or 4 woman led startups. And I mean, they held themselves very well, I would say. But if I were in their shoes, I would be a little bit intimidated. Like, this is not the, yeah, like general like type of people that I'm comfortable with, if that's like the only thing that I see. So yeah, I mean, that was just like an interesting thing to see for me as like somebody who was aspiring to be an entrepreneur, and knowing that these are kind of the challenges that I would need to face when I go into the future as well. And for me, the way I kind of internalized it, or even when I was in India, like when I would pitch at any event, it would mostly be like male investors or VCs. And so I would try to be like, try to do my research to the best of my ability, more than try to do it more than like my peers or like my fellow male entrepreneurs. I would try to be like the louder person in the room, the smarter person in the room, so that like I'm not seen as like, I'm not like just seen as like a okay, yeah, she's just like another person, but like they respect me as much as my male counterparts. So yeah, I mean, I think like just going from that, and now I've been doing this, like there's a startup school of Y Combinator, where you can take like this 8-week course, and I'm in the process of doing that, and we have these group sessions every week where you're connected with 3 random founders, and it's been like almost 60% women that I've been like seeing at these group sessions. So it's been really like not just exciting but encouraging as well to see that there's so much like female support, and so many like women who are comfortable and like passionate about their own companies. So I would say it's a great time to be a woman entrepreneur.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to unpack that. Maybe we can have another podcast to unpack that a little further. Um, so I wanted to ask you, as a follow up to being a female CEO and entrepreneur in America, what are the top 3 qualities that make a good leader and someone who's a female CEO entrepreneur?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think yeah, the first is what we talked about earlier, resilience. I think nothing comes before that. That's the single biggest thing that you will need in your journey of entrepreneurship, whether you're a man or a woman, really, but especially if you're a woman. Like there are going to be so many obstacles and so many things that you're even uncomfortable with facing. Maybe some things that you haven't like, yeah, experienced, like pitching at an event where it's mostly male dominated and still keeping your stand. So you need to be really really resilient for that. And even if you think that there is some sort of like bias in those areas, like trying to overcome that and not being bogged down by it, but trying to find a solution to overcome that. So biggest thing would be resilience. The second thing, now I don't know if this is good or bad advice, but this is going off of what I said before. Like if you feel like you're like underrepresented in a certain like area, maybe in the tech space there aren't a lot of women entrepreneurs, or if you just see like the current top tech companies, you don't see representation, like you see mostly like male CEOs, and I get that that can be like a bit discouraging sometimes, or it's not like something that you would look up, you don't have like a similar person to look up to in most of the areas. And so just being the best at your area, like trying to do your research and trying to be like better than everyone else, and not like have anyone question you in terms of your abilities or your skills. Yeah, just like showing the world that you can be better than what they would perceive you to be is something that I would like say specifically to women.
Those are great. So I took resilience one, um, like could we call it maybe grit two? Because it requires
Yeah.
a lot to be able to be smarter and better and more confident than your peers, regardless if they're female or male. And
Yeah.
then 3, just be a competitor. I don't know.
Actually, I would change that to, or I think they didn't talk about it, but I would change that to passion. At the end
Okay.
of the day, like whatever it is, if you want to go into entrepreneurship or you want to start your own business, this is something you're gonna be. This is gonna be your baby. This is gonna be what you have for the next maybe 4, 5, 10 years of your life. Whatever is that one company that you're working on, and to be able to go through those challenges and to be able to like succeed in that no matter what, you need to be super passionate about it. You need to believe that this is going to change the world. So I think passion is, yeah, also way up there.
And I think built into passion is self awareness too, because you're a very self aware person. We've talked about it before. And you had to be confident enough in who you were and what you believed in and the problems you were trying to solve to know that this was the right path. And this is an assumption, but I think, you know, one of the reasons why so many people quit when they're working on things is because they don't believe enough in themselves. They don't believe enough in what they're passionate about because maybe they don't think it's going to make a difference, or maybe they don't think they can make a difference. And that's something that I'm working on too, is when things are rough, when things are not going the way I think, staying true to myself and not trying to be somebody else. I think that's huge, and you've definitely exemplified that in the work that you've been doing.
Yeah. And I mean, as you said, like a lot of people think they can't make a difference. Like that's just, I mean, if somebody is like listening to this and feels that way, that's just not true. Like each and every single person in this whole world, whether it's like my 16-year-old like sister, or it's me, or it's like anybody that I know, like if you are working on whatever you're working on and you're passionate about that, you like doing that, it is creating value. Whatever you do, you are creating waves no matter what. And as you keep going in that journey and keep iterating and doing better and better, you are like helping so many more people, you're creating so many more waves and so much more value. So yeah, I mean, that's just not true that the person wouldn't make a difference or a change. Like each person affects so many other people's lives.
It's very true. I've been trying to take that into my relationships too, is just 50-50 human relationship. That's all this is. We're humans. If we can't relate on that, I don't know what else we can relate on. Like,
Yeah.
we're all humans on this planet. Just be self-aware of who you are and what you believe in, but then just be open also to other people and their beliefs and what they bring to the table. Because I agree with you. Everyone brings value. Everyone is valuable. And I've been actually trying to instill that into my teams, is diversity, right? Um, and understanding that everyone is valuable no matter who they are, because everyone brings something to the table, whether it's their experiences, whether it's a skill set, whether it's a perspective. Everyone's valuable, and I try and
Yeah.
search for that in my daily life.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, there is just way too much research that has been done on diverse teams in terms of backgrounds, culture, skill sets, whatever you name it, versus non diverse teams. And the ones that bring different opinions on board, like, always win because there's going to be so many different perspectives that you would be able to create a company out of. Like, if we have a little bit of time, I'll just give a small example of like one of my dream companies, IDEO. It's a design firm that started in 1900 sometime, and they started with 8 people of complete. And at that time, that wasn't a norm to do that. But they started with 8 people of completely different backgrounds. Like one was a design major, one was a engineering major, one was like in focused in psychology, one was like a sociology expert. Like completely different people who probably never even like talk to each other in a normal like in their day-to-day lives, but they put these 8 people together and they said that we want to, like, they just took a small problem of like the current problem with shopping carts, and they said that we want to create the best shopping cart for the best customer experience possible. And they didn't have a team of 8 engineers, which you would typically imagine in this sort of problem. They had these like psychologists, sociologists, environmental, like everything. And then and they took 2 weeks to come up with this brilliant shopping cart design that had so many design changes. It was one of the most innovative or like most drastic innovations in like the shopping cart design change that I've seen. And that was like the beginning. And now they're like creating like the Apple Mouse and so many of the other things. Like they have like hundreds of products out there. So I mean, you see what I mean? It's like even in a typically engineering or design dominated field, they took a very diverse team. And because everyone could bring their perspectives on how the human person would think when they're doing X thing, or how this would cause like environmental challenges and how it would cause like design and engineering challenges, they could come up with such a great solution. So yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. Like diversity in teams is very important, not just for like, not just like politically, but actually creating like great products.
Definitely. And diversity can mean so many things too. It's not just like your socioeconomic background, your ethnic background, your gender, your skill set. I mean, it's just so many different things that can make teams diverse. And one of the things that I'm really proud about for our Maximize team is that we account for 19 out of 34 different top five Clifton Strengths Finder strengths. So
Oh,
me and a co-founder overlap on one strength, which is learner. And other than that, we have completely different top five strengths as a team. And I think it's a really wonderful thing because we've been noticing as our team has become more cohesive that we do think differently and we have tendencies as a group because of how our strengths interact with each other. And so we're mindful too now of the blind spots we have because we recognize that we're missing things, or maybe our tendencies can help us in some ways but hurt us in other ways. And so that's why it's so great to have a very unique group, right? Because you're able to think about things differently instead of just like, oh, I'm an engineer, this is the way I do things, or I'm a psychologist, this is the way I do things, I'm an environmental scientist, this is the way I do things. You can think about it differently because you have that uniqueness.
exactly. Yeah. That's awesome that you guys have that like such diversity in terms of Clifton strengths.
Yeah, we're also recruiting more team members. So, if anyone listening is interested to work on a higher education nonprofit and for good for profit accelerator, just let us know. I also wanted to give you an opportunity to, if you wanted to recruit or do anything like that, maybe tell us a little about what you need or what you're looking for at this time.
Definitely. I think one of the biggest areas which I would need help with, I mean, first of all, we talked a bit about the co-founder thing. So it would be great if anybody like relates with this idea or seems passionate or sees like the vision of how big this can grow. And you want to like come on the team and join in, maybe like just like maybe a month or two, we can work together and see if it's a good fit for both. And then it could be like potential co-founder situation as well. So just working on all aspects of a business. There are two key areas which would be great for like a person who would want to come on board to have either like a hardware technical background where we can figure out like the high tech mask, which has like the microfan technology, working with sensors, connecting that to an app, so things like that. Or also like somebody from a marketing background that can help get the word out and get like a lot of customers on board. So those would be like great skill sets or qualities to have. But if anybody's like seems interested or passionate about this idea and product in general, I would love to work with you.
Yeah, and Arohi is a wonderful leader. I mean, truly, she like listens first. She's a servant leader, so like she's gonna make sure that everyone's ideas are heard, everyone's talents are used to the max. Um, yeah, it's quite a privilege and an honor to know you and to have worked with you on multiple things and to have you on the podcast. Um, is there anything else you want to talk about or any other shout outs you'd like to have?
Yeah, first, like, just want to say right back at you. It's been like really great to kind of learn from you and your experiences through this journey as well. And I hope we can continue that moving forward. And shout outs, not really. I mean, if anybody is interested, especially for the Kickstarter, like right now, we're gearing up for that pretty much. And it's going to run from October 14th to the next 45 days. And so if anybody is wants to like back us on there, please go ahead and do that. I would really appreciate it.
Right, and anything helps. And the masks are really good. I've worn them myself. Mine is right now in my car, so I have it when I'm ready to go in a grocery store, or if I'm going for a long drive back home, 2.5 hours. I mean, I've got the Breeze Bubble mask, and it's a really great technology. So you can find Arohi at www.breezebubble.com. She's going to have her links in the description below if you'd like to reach out. And yeah, is there anything else?
I think that sounds great. Yeah, I hope everybody who's listening like got some value out of this podcast. I think it was a great conversation to have with you as well.
Awesome. And did you have a quote for us today, or should we link that in afterwards?
The quote was just I said it like during one of our questions, which was like work hard, play hard, like just having that balance in your life, like working your ass off with whatever you're doing, and but also working keeping that balance. Sorry for swearing.
Hey, I mean, anything goes right now. So thank you so much, Rohi. It's an awesome message to send, an original by Rohi Jain. Thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully we'll have you on again in the future.
Awesome. Thanks.
Okay, thanks to Rohi.